I guess let's get into a couple of the trades that happen since they do relate. Connor Timmins coming from Pittsburgh to the Buffalo Sabres, joined by Isaac Beliveau, and that was a deal that sent Connor Clifton and Buffalo second-round pick back to Pittsburgh. What do you think about Connor Timmins and the pick in general, and what did you think about Connor Clifton's time here in Buffalo?
Yeah, I do think the trade was nice because it did get Clifton off the roster, who kind of struggled last season. You do get Timmins, who has really good metrics for a third pair guy. So, I kind of like what they did outside of the fact that they gave up, a high second round pick. I know everyone's like, they don't need any more prospects, but just because you don't need any more prospects doesn't mean you have to accept bad value in trades. I think that's a bad value trade because, sure, you could bring up like Connor Timmins charts and like, oh, look how blue these numbers are. And I know he played top pair minutes or second pair minutes with Erik Karlsson a little bit in Pittsburgh during a short time there. But then they were talking about a guy that's probably going to be playing like 14 minutes a night. Like he's probably not going to be paired with one of those top guys, especially if Byram's coming back because he still hasn't been traded yet. And maybe Byram's moved. Maybe they'll have to force him up into a top 4 role. I'm just thinking, like, is it really that big of a difference between him and like Jacob Bernard Docker, where you'd be able to save $1 million with JBD? He wouldn't get you killed on those third pair minutes, and you wouldn't have to give up that high second round pick who, it's worth taking a gamble on some guys because the prospect pool right now, I think it just lacks that deep upside. Right now, they have a lot of guys who can maybe project to third or fourth line roles. Those are cheap guys to trade for once they actually become NHLers. Like you could trade for a fourth liner right now for, we saw Sam Lafferty, like a 6th round pick. So I think to take safe swings in the draft and, trade away picks where you can have a little bit fun with it, it's from a value standpoint. I just wasn't a huge fan of it. Like I could have been, a bigger hater of this trade if Timmins was a much worse player. Thankfully, he's not. But I just don't like the value with it, especially considering that he was a part of a package that was dealt for, like, I believe, a 5th round pick at the trade deadline. Somehow his value after a few meaningless games with Pittsburgh increases to a 2nd round pick. Like, I just don't understand it.
I think the one thing with Timmins that really stood out to me and made sense why they got rid of Clifton and brought him in was the penalties. Connor Timmins is not, he's very good when it comes to taking penalties, and Connor Clifton was just, along with some defensive gas and everything like that, just the penalties on top of that. It was the same thing with Sam Lafferty, to be completely honest with you. There was a month stretch where if there was a game without a Sam Lafferty penalty, that was astonishing. And that's something where, like, if you're going to play that small of a role, 4th line, 3rd pairing defenseman, you can't be taking penalties and putting your team on the back foot like that. So I can understand that perspective. I also don't really hope they don't force Timmins into a role that he's not prepared for. It's kind of like the same thing I said with Kesselring as well. But if he's a 3rd pairing defenseman, I think he's probably, just as good, maybe a little bit better than Bernard Docker. I also think he's a lot better than Connor Clifton and Henry Jokiharju. So I would rather have Timmins worth a 2nd round pick. Like you said, not too long ago, he went for a 5th round pick. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. Kind of wish it was maybe a 3rd or 4th round pick that got sent back. But at the end of the day, it's an NHL player. And like 2nd round picks can hit, but they also sometimes don't. So I do agree that taking a flyer on a high skilled guy would have been the best way of going about it. But look, they got an NHL player back. We'll see what kind of, how long he actually sticks around and what results he gets, because just because he has good results in Pittsburgh doesn't mean he has good results here, and depends on who he's playing with. Hopefully it's not Samuelson. So that is the Timmins trade. Like you also mentioned, Sam Lafferty was traded to Chicago for a 2026 6th round pick. To me, getting anything back for Lafferty was a plus. Getting that $2 million off the books. I'm assuming you agree, Walt?
Oh, that was easily. I do know as someone that was wearing a Sam Lafferty sweater on our last live stream, but I do love that trade. I think it's an awesome deal. because I was just looking at like some of the lines the Sabres used last season and like their expected goals for percentage. And like the fourth line, I think everyone was kind of expecting if they did put Lafferty in the lineup would be him with Peyton Krebs and Beck Malenstein. And that line got absolutely obliterated last season, like outchanced like 2-1. Like, they just completely like siphoned off any offense at all. And we're pretty much stuck in their own end trying to play defense the entire time, which are not horrible like defensively. But when you can do absolutely nothing in the offensive zone, like just watch like a few clips of Lafferty in the offensive zone. Like it's borderline
Stuff.
insane. Yeah, like I do think he has an NHL role because of his speed, but yeah, just watch him when he does in the offensive zone. He finally gets there. It's like you're just playing to see how long you can keep the puck along the boards and really nothing working its way to the middle. So yeah, just being able to get rid of him, I think that's a huge win for the Sabres. I think that alone could improve them by like 1 or 2 standing points somehow.
Definitely, and it was what the comparison that I actually came up with? Yeah, Lafferty's more physical, but Anders Bjork, where it just feels like they're out
Oh
there for
yeah,
glorified cardio. It's
yeah.
just like, let me skate
It
up and down a few times and get the heck off the ice. Like, that's kind of how it felt. Like, at the end of the season, he did start playing better, for sure. I'll give him that, but you also have a sample size of like 70 games where it was literally just penalties and crappy play the entire time. It's not going to work.
Yeah, can we talk about how silly the Sabres look with their thing last offseason with targeting speed, with the Panthers winning back-to-back Stanley Cups with, really not fast players at all. Like they're really like
No,
Einstein's on skates, but they're not speedy players. And so it's crazy. Like I don't know, it's just a direction this team takes where it's like, oh yeah, we need to target speed, and then 12 months later, it's like, oh, we need to target grit. It's like this team has no identity. They're just
it's
free falling and trying to find an identity.
it feels very reactionary, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it doesn't feel like a recipe for success. Like some teams can pull it off, but like, sorry, Sabres don't really get that kind of benefit of the doubt.